I always thought trust was the foundation of our relationship. For 5 years, I had built my world around Ryan. We lived together, shared bills, planned vacations, even talked about marriage. He wasn't just my boyfriend, he was my best friend, my partner in everything. But sometimes, the things you stumble upon accidentally reveal more than a confession ever could. It started with his phone. I never checked it, not once in all our years together. I didn't believe in snooping, it felt wrong, invasive. But one night, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally, I would have ignored it. But the notification preview caught my eye. It wasn't just a name. It was a heart emoji. My stomach flipped. I told myself not to overreact, that maybe it was a family member, or some harmless joke. But something deep in my gut screamed otherwise. When he came out of the shower, I pretended nothing was wrong, but I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying that tiny heart on his lock screen. So the next morning, while he was making coffee, I asked casually, "Who's been texting you so late?" He froze. Just for a second, but I caught it. Then he laughed it off, kissed my forehead, and said, "Work stuff. You know how clients are." But that wasn't work. I knew it. For the next few days, I tried to shake it off, but the signs piled up. He started guarding his phone, turning it face down, stepping outside to take calls. He changed his passcode. At night, when I'd roll over to cuddle him, he'd shift away like he was miles deep in thought. I told myself I was paranoid. That I was imagining things. But one night, fate made the choice for me. He left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, and there, in plain sight, was the email notification that shattered everything. "I can't wait to see you again tonight. Last night was perfect." Red heart. My heart dropped into my stomach. My hands shook as I read it again and again. There was no denying it. He was seeing someone else. And yet, instead of confronting him right then, I closed the laptop. I pretended nothing happened. Because I wanted to know more. Who she was. How long this had been going on. I didn't want half the truth. I wanted the whole thing. For the next week, I became an actress in my own life. Smiling when he came home, laughing at his stories, kissing him goodnight as if nothing had changed. But inside, every touch made my skin crawl, every lie made my blood boil. I started watching him more closely. The way his phone lit up when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he'd slip out in the evenings, saying he had late meetings. The excuses grew weaker, but his confidence grew stronger. He truly believed I had no idea. One night, after he said he was going to the gym, I followed him. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white as I trailed his car through the city. He didn't go to the gym. He didn't even come close. Instead, he pulled into a quiet restaurant on the other side of town. And there she was. Waiting for him. I watched from my car as he walked up to her, leaned in, and kissed her like he had kissed me 1,000 times before. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't just cheating, it was affection. Familiar. Comfortable. This wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake. I wanted to storm inside, to scream, to throw a glass of water in his face like in the movies. But I didn't. Instead, I pulled out my phone and snapped a photo. My hands trembled so violently that I almost dropped it, but I needed proof. I needed to see it with my own eyes, frozen forever, so I'd never convince myself it was just a nightmare. I drove home with tears streaming down my face, my chest aching so badly I thought my heart might actually burst. When he returned hours later, smiling like nothing had happened, he wrapped his arms around me. I forced myself to stay still, even though I wanted to shove him off. In that moment, one thing became clear: he thought he was in control. He thought I was blind, naive, too in love to notice. But he had no idea, I knew everything. And I was done being the fool in his story. The next morning, I couldn't look at him the same way. His smile felt like a mask, his good morning like poison. But I played along. I asked him about his plans for the day, kissed him goodbye, and watched him walk out the door like nothing was wrong. As soon as he left, I opened the photo I had taken the night before. Him, with her. His hand on her waist, his lips pressed against hers. My chest tightened, but I saved it. Proof. The kind you couldn't argue with. I wanted to know who she was. So I started digging. His laptop, his emails, even his social media accounts that he thought he had hidden from me. And then I found her. Her name was Claire. A real estate agent. Pretty, polished, the type of woman who seemed to have everything together. She wasn't some random fling, she was serious. Serious enough that he took her to dinner, kissed her in public, let her believe she was the only one. And then came the message that nearly knocked the air out of me. An email from him to her, "I'm working on ending things soon. Just be patient. I promise, it's you I want." My vision blurred with tears. He wasn't planning a future with me. He was planning one with her. I slammed the laptop shut and sank onto the floor, my hands covering my face. How long had he been saying those same words to both of us? How many nights had he whispered "I love you" to me while secretly planning a life with someone else? The betrayal was heavy, but underneath it, something else began to grow. Not just sadness. Not just anger. Resolve. I wasn't going to let him destroy me quietly. If he wanted to play games, then I was about to show him I could play better. I wanted to tell him everything that night, to confess how much I had been hiding, but fear held me back. What if he didn't believe me? What if he thought I was exaggerating? I sat across from him at dinner, forcing a smile, while my mind raced with ways to explain the truth. He kept watching me, his eyes filled with concern, but he didn't push. Instead, he asked simple questions, hoping I'd open up on my own. The weight on my chest grew heavier with every silence between us. Later that evening, when I checked my phone, I found another message, short, cruel, and terrifying. "You can't keep this a secret forever." My hands trembled as I locked the screen. He noticed. He always noticed. "Who keeps texting you?" he asked softly. His tone wasn't angry, it was worried. I wanted to tell him, but instead, I shook my head and whispered, "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. It was the beginning of the truth unraveling, and I knew I couldn't hide it much longer. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house, every shadow on the wall felt like a warning. I lay awake staring at my phone, waiting, dreading the next message. And just when I thought maybe it was over, the screen lit up. This time, the message wasn't just words, it was a photo. A photo of me, taken through the window of my own bedroom. My breath caught in my throat. My safe space had been violated. Someone was watching me, close enough to capture me in my most vulnerable moments. I wanted to scream, but I froze. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like it echoed in the silence. Who could it be? A stranger? Someone I knew? Or worse, someone I trusted? The next morning, I finally told him. I showed him the photo, the messages, everything I had been hiding. His face went pale, his jaw tightened, but he didn't hesitate. "We'll figure this out together," he said firmly, pulling me into his arms. But even as he held me, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was already too late, that the person behind those messages wasn't just watching me. They were closer than I ever imagined.